Here's a hot take from my channel. Kung Fu Panda isn't exactly one of my favorite franchises. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably don't even have one. It's probably a tie between Violet Evergarden and Hibike Euphonium. Not that the movies don't do anything for me, in fact I really love all of them. Not only are they really funny and incredibly crafted from the animation to the music, but each of the movies have an emotional core revolving around Po confronting relatable struggles from imposter syndrome to trauma to heritage, all of that, and it ends in a satisfying conclusion. So a fourth was always a baffling thing on my mind, but I was still hoping it would be a nice Toy Story 4-esque situation where it suits more of a decent epilogue, and honestly, it was worse than I thought it would be. To me, Kung Fu Panda 4 just feels like Dreamworks on autopilot, and not in a good way. For the past few years, I've defended even their weaker films, mainly on the principle that they're still competently scripted, there were a few narrative elements that worked for me personally, and they were sensibly paced. That last part being something that KP4 has a really hard time with. The pacing isn't Mario movie levels of zip-zappy, but we still zip-zap through a lot of locations and narrative beats very quickly. From Po and Jen's time under Juniper City with the rest of the bandits, or when they reconciled before the third act, because of course that happens, it feels like these moments could work, but aren't given the weight they deserve. And it's not just the story that feels less than the other films, the animation honestly feels a little less. There's no denying that the action, the backgrounds, and the direction are pretty cool, but then you have shots where everyone's fur looks so sharp and distinct, and then some minutes later they look way too polished and smooth, and then the designs of the new characters feel like they clash with the old. The humor was pretty off too, it just felt like a lot of nothing gags in the script, while Jack Black just said skadoosh and awesomeness and, you know, the usual stuff. And I kept asking myself, is this really a Kung Fu Panda movie? Also, the Furious Five get nothing in this film, and Shifu is there for 10 minutes to nag at Po to become the spiritual leader of the valley or something, and then is basically gone for the whole movie. Lee and Payne were pretty cute together, especially when referring to Po as their son, like they were a cute couple, but they don't really have much to do in this story. The movie really is just Po and Jen doing their own thing with all the chemistry that kinda pales in comparison to what Po has with basically everyone else in the franchise. I do like the idea of Po passing on his title, but couldn't that happen when he was, I don't know, in his old age? That would make more sense than just becoming a wise old sage now, because Po doesn't really do a good job of that, and Po in general just doesn't feel like his real self from the trilogy. It just feels like him on autopilot. Whoa, crazy. And do I even need to say anything about the chameleon? I feel like everything wrong with her has been said already. Yes, her whole gimmick of stealing previous villains' powers sounds epic and was the entire hook of the film, but that really only happens at the end, is glossed over super fast, and otherwise is given no weight at all because of how much of a shadow Tai Lun is of his former self, and how the other villains do not talk at all, and are basically, they're just there, and the chameleon's backstory is negated by the existence of Mantis and Viper. I will say she is a really good manipulator type villain that gets you to feel bad for Jen, but only a little. What else? Oh yeah, so you know that one part where Jen cheats at Mahjong and a bunch of tiles come out of her tail? I was gonna make a joke that that's not how Mahjong works. Someone would definitely notice if a tile is missing, and it's not like cheating in cards. But then that opened the gateway to, I don't actually know how cheating in cards works. Like, you know how in movies they reveal someone cheated by having a bunch of cards fall out of their pockets or sleeves? Yeah, that. How does that work? Like, I'm genuinely asking, please let me know in the comments. This has been on my mind for days. I know that has nothing to do with the movie, but it's reflective of what I was thinking about while watching the whole thing, because it is just a bunch of nothing for me personally. In conclusion, Kung Fu Panda 4 is a deeply mediocre film that, while meeting a lot of the surface level hallmarks of the franchise, fails to understand what makes this movie series so special: the character and the heart, which this is considerably lacking in. It at times feels like an imitation, parody, or fanfic of itself. Arguably, there are things to like about it or defend as just okay. I certainly did have fun with some of the action and can see why people would enjoy it, but honestly, this is such a disappointing film that doesn't add anything to the franchise as a whole, and I kind of dislike it, and I feel like I'm gonna dislike it more with time. I would give it a 5 out of 10, but I kinda learned my lesson from Wish, so I'm just gonna jump the gun and say 4 out of 10. It is a bit better than Orion, and certainly a masterpiece compared to Megamind 2. Honestly, rewatching the original Kung Fu Panda trilogy or the first Megamind film sounds like a neat idea. If you have the opportunity to catch Spy X Family Code White before it leaves theaters, watch it. But the only thing I really have the energy to enthusiastically recommend is the entire Sound Euphonium franchise, especially the spin-off film Liz and the Bluebird, which I am working on a 2-hour analysis of, and you all probably know it's my beaten dead horse recommendation by now. So tell me, what are your thoughts on KP4? And are you excited for the Wild Robot? Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time.